Today, I want to share something that might change the way you see your story. Failure, as we imagine it, doesn't exist. How many times in your life have you stopped yourself from doing something for fear of failing? Think about it. That project, that relationship, that exam, that decision, how many times did you hold back because that one word, failure, paralyzed you? We go through life repeating that word as if it were a sentence. A single word with such tremendous weight. Failure. So short, so harsh, so unfair. A word used to hurt, to humiliate, to burden us with guilt that isn't ours. How many times have we feared hearing that insult, that judgment? You're a failure? Have we ever stopped to seriously think about what that word means? Because I'm not talking about the dictionary definition, the one that calls it a poor outcome, something that didn't go well, or an adverse result. I'm talking about the meaning we give it, the one we use to insult ourselves, to punish ourselves, to compare ourselves, and to devalue ourselves. The one that makes us feel like we didn't measure up, that we weren't enough, that something is wrong with us. We live with the word failure stuck to our skin, as if it were a permanent seal, as if it defined us in some way. A fear so great, so deep, that it causes many people to stay frozen, not daring to step one foot outside their comfort zone. But really, is it so conclusive? So terrible? So absolute? Maybe no one has ever told you this, but failure doesn't exist. Not in real life, not in practice, not in the human experience. Let me ask you this. If you had a 15-year marriage, built a family, were happy, shared moments, learned, grew, and one day that relationship ended, is that a failure? Why? Why would something that gave you so much for so many years, that made you happy, and that perhaps gave you the most precious thing you have, your children, be a failure? And yet, there are people who will point at you and say, your relationship failed. You failed. You got separated. You're a failure. And no, that is not a failure. That's the end of a chapter, a transformation, a cycle that has ended and will give way to a new one. We don't get married to succeed. We get married to love, to build, to live, to share. And if at some point there's no longer a common path, that doesn't turn anything into a failure. And it certainly doesn't erase the years of happiness we lived. The same thing happens when you do poorly on an exam. Really, is that failing? No, it just means that what you studied wasn't enough for that particular instance. Nothing more than that. You can try again, and next time you'll have a stronger foundation than before. It's not an end, it's not a sentence, it's a circumstance. And dropping out of college halfway through, does that seem like failing? That's not failure either. Because in those years, you learned, you grew, you discovered things about yourself, you gained knowledge. Why call a path that transformed you a failure? Sometimes we choose different paths, and that's valid too. But the most terrible thing of all is that there are thousands of people who don't dare to do things for fear of failing without even knowing what that means. Fear of getting married, of changing jobs, of running a marathon, fear of starting a project, of trying something new. And all because of a word we use incorrectly, a word that carries an unfair weight and should never have had so much power. Because the reality is that everything we do in life is a learning experience. Everything, even the things that don't end as we expected. Living experiences, taking risks, making mistakes, changing your mind, trying new paths. That's not failing, that's living, that's growing, that's moving forward. How many people emigrate, have wonderful experiences in other countries, learn, discover, transform, and when they decide to come back, people tell them, you failed? How can living an experience that broadened your perspective on life be a failure? How can it be a failure to experience something that introduced you to other cultures, other countries, to discover a side of yourself you might not have even known existed, and that enriched you? There's no failure there. There's a chapter that ended, a decision that was made, a choice, an enormous amount of growth. And yet, the word failure is used as an insult. But what's the point? No one is a failure. We've all done things, we've all learned, we've all had relationships, beautiful moments, overcome challenges, travels, laughs, conversations, experiences that didn't turn out as we expected. The simple act of existing, of being here, of moving forward is an act of courage. So why do we keep using a word that doesn't mean anything specific and only serves to cause harm? We were taught that success is the opposite of failure, but not even success is universal. For some, it means fame. For others, stability. For some, it's graduating. For others, starting a family. For some, it's simply feeling at peace. Success is personal. It can't be compared. It's not measured by a common ruler. It's not the same for everyone. Success means something different to each person. Therefore, if success is so diverse, how could there be a universal failure? The truth is that the meaning we give to failure does not exist. Fear of failure leads us to live a life dominated by fear. It nullifies us. It limits us. So the next time that word scares you, remember this: you are not at risk of failing. You risk missing out on wonderful things if you let that fear decide for you, because everything you do, every attempt, every path, even those that change course, build you up, shape you, and transform you. And that, precisely that, will never be a failure. I hope you like my videos, that they can help you, perhaps by making you see things from another perspective, or simply making you feel accompanied, understood. Maybe you just feel reflected in it. If so, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next videos. And if there's any topic you'd like us to cover in future videos, let me know in the comments. Thank you for listening.